So today we're going to dive into a story that, believe it or not, starts in a corporate boardroom but ends up saving lives. We're going to explore how fixing a really deep technical data problem, one that so many companies struggle with, doesn't just transform a business, it can also be used to tackle one of the world's most serious humanitarian crises.
And it all kicks off with this pretty shocking question. Why do 7 out of 10 strategic plans just fail? We're talking about brilliant ideas cooked up by the smartest people in the company that just never see the light of day. And, it's usually not because the vision was bad. Nope. The problem is almost always in the execution. And the root of that problem? It's often hiding where you'd least expect it.
For any company trying to make it, the ability to change direction, to pivot, is everything. It's basically a survival skill. But you can't just pivot on a gut feeling. You need clear, objective signals that tell you, hey, the path you're on, it's not working anymore.
Okay, so this slide cuts through all the noise and gives us 3 critical alerts. First up, the market fit alert. Are you spending more to get a customer than that customer is actually worth to you over their lifetime? If the answer is yes, you're literally paying to shrink your business. Then there's the 40% rule. If less than 40% of your users would be very disappointed if your product just vanished tomorrow, you've got a serious problem. And finally, burn rate. You look at the bank account and you've got less than 6 months of cash left. Any one of these is a massive red flag screaming, change direction now.
So, the signals are flashing. Management sees them. But when they try to make that big pivot, they just hit a wall. And that wall, more often than not, is this tangled, invisible mess hiding in their data infrastructure. Let's pull back the curtain and see what that chaos really looks like. This diagram, it's the perfect picture of reality for most data teams. It is a constant state of firefighting. Sales has an urgent, we need it now request on Monday. Then marketing has their own fire on Tuesday. Product comes in on Thursday. And to hit all these crazy deadlines, every single request gets treated like its own separate, one-off project. This isn't collaboration, it's just chaos. And it makes any kind of big strategic change basically impossible. And this right here is what you get from that reactive trap, pipeline spaghetti. It's a mess. On the left, you've got all your data sources. On the right, all the dashboards and reports people want. And connecting them, this tangled web of brittle, one-off data pipelines. Logic gets copied and pasted all over the place. Things need to be fixed by hand all the time, and something inevitably breaks. But the most important part is right at the bottom. You've answered 4 urgent questions, great, but you've created 0 reusable assets. You're not building a foundation, you're just making the mess bigger, which makes any real strategic change a total nightmare.
So, how do you fix this? The answer isn't to try and build faster, stronger spaghetti. No way. The answer is to completely change how you think about data. You have to shift your focus from the process of moving it around to the purpose it's actually supposed to serve.
This is it. This is the fundamental shift in thinking. We have got to stop thinking about data work as just moving bits from point A to point B. That's just plumbing. The real job, the important job, is to model the entire business domain, to create a stable, understandable data version of what your company actually is and what it does. And we do that by creating entities. An entity isn't some temporary pipeline that's going to break next week. It's a solid, reusable building block that represents a core business idea. Imagine having one single, definitive, agreed-upon model for what a customer is, or what a product is. That becomes your single source of truth. And just like that, you get rid of all the duplicated logic and the chaos of that old spaghetti model.
Now, this whole conceptual shift from pipes to entities is super powerful, but it needs a real technological backbone to actually happen, especially now in the age of AI. And that's where this new open standard called MCP comes into the picture. It gives you the framework to build and use these reusable entities for real.
So MCP, that's Model Context Protocol, is basically a universal translator for AI. Like in science fiction movies? It's an open source standard that creates one common language so that AI applications can talk to all the different data sources, tools, and systems that a business relies on. And this diagram just makes it all click. On the left, you've got your AI applications, like Claude. And on the right, you've got, everything else. Databases, developer tools, even everyday apps like Slack and Google Maps. MCP sits right in the middle, acting as the standardized hub that lets them all communicate, seamlessly. And look, notice the arrows go both ways. It's a bidirectional flow. This is a two-way conversation. The benefits here are exactly what a business needs to finally start executing on its strategy. You get speed because you're not starting from scratch every time. You're starting with a ready-made toolkit. You get quality in integration, which prevents all that messy tech debt that pipeline spaghetti creates. And maybe most importantly, you get interoperability. That ability to reuse those business objects, those entities we talked about. That is the direct cure for data chaos.
Okay, now we're going to make a pivot of our own. Because a system that's designed to bring order to corporate data chaos can also be used to address a far more profound and honestly devastating kind of chaos. We're about to see how this exact same technology can be applied to a global humanitarian crisis.
The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, they've said that human trafficking has taken on horrific dimensions. This is truly one of the most complex and devastating problems of our time. And a huge part of the challenge? It's just detection. It's finding the victims.
This number, it represents a massive, tragic gap. One study found that the estimated number of actual human trafficking victims was 4 to 5 times higher than the number that were officially detected. And that's not just a statistic, right? It's a data gap that represents millions of unseen, unheard, and unhelped people. To close that gap, we need the exact kind of advanced, integrated data systems that we've been talking about.
So just imagine this workflow, made possible by the very same data principles we've discussed. A patient checks into an ER. The system, connecting all these different data points in real time, can help triage not just their medical issue, but also the likelihood that this person is a trafficking victim. If the risk is high, a specialized survey can be given right then and there. And if a victim is identified, the system can instantly and automatically notify the right agencies. This kind of lifeline is only possible when data is aligned and all your systems can talk to each other in an instant.
So we started with why business strategies fail, and we ended with a way to help protect human dignity. It really shows that getting our data house in order isn't just some boring technical exercise. It unlocks our ability to solve our most important problems. So the final question is for you. What problem would you solve with truly aligned data?